My name is Kelly, and I am a veterinary technician with the North Carolina Zoo. I have a bachelor's degree in zoology from the University of New Hampshire. I'm from New England. And then eventually I took a year off, did some field work, research, stuff like that, worked at an aquarium as an educator, and then I ended up in grad school at the University of Connecticut and got a master's degree in conservation biology. And then I eventually ended up in Tennessee, where I worked as an elephant caregiver at the elephant sanctuary in Tennessee, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And then I ended up, while I was there, we didn't have a veterinary technician for the sanctuary, and there really was a need for one. And so I asked them if they could pay for my schooling to go to veterinary technician school, and they agreed. So they paid for my schooling to go through vet tech school, and then also supported me to be licensed as a veterinary technician. And then I worked for them as both an elephant caregiver, so kind of like a zookeeper job, but for the sanctuary. But also I worked as their only veterinary technician for a while. And then I kind of put feelers out to see if any other zoo or sanctuary or any other exotic place in the country, was hiring, and North Carolina Zoo was. I wasn't expecting to get it, but they hired me. And so I kind of took that opportunity, and that was almost 6 years ago. So that's how I got here. When I was I'll go back to college. When I was getting my bachelor's degree, I did a study abroad program, and it included a directed research internship and project where I did like field work for the Department of Conservation out there, worked with wild birds, did like bird count analysis and stuff, and monitored like how well this conservation project was going. Ended up doing a thesis on that, and that was part of my degree, part of my program out there. And then when I went to grad school several years later, I did a different kind of master's. So there's the University of Connecticut in the conservation biology department. They had two different tracks. You could do just your typical master's degree where you take courses, you do your research, you write a thesis, and then you get your master's degree. My work in New Zealand actually counted for that research project when I went to grad school. So that was pretty cool. So since I already had that research background, I decided to do more coursework, and then I did an internship while I was in grad school, and that internship was at a big cat refuge in Arkansas, at a refuge called Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge. And I was there for about half a year. So I did a 6-month internship over there that was mostly like animal care, very similar to like zookeeping, kind of an internship. And then I finished grad school. So that was probably my most work-based internship experience while I was in school. I think they're extremely important. It gives you real hands-on experience in like a job type field. You're doing an internship where you're actually doing the job you would have once you got your degree. So work-based internships are very important, and if you can do one, unpaid or paid, do it, because it looks really great on your resume, with whatever field you're going into, because it actually shows that you can do the work that's required, not just be behind a desk or behind a computer doing the coursework. Opportunities out in the field, and then I got that job in education where I worked with education animals, and I mostly took smaller exotic animals, kind of like how we have at the North Carolina Zoo. We have an ambassador animal / education animal section. So they have small herps, small reptiles, birds, things that you can take out and show people. Like this is a, red-shouldered hawk, stuff like that, where you still get to handle animals, but you get to teach about it and teach little kids about it and get people exposed to it. So I did that a little bit and ended up in grad school, which was kind of on a whim, and then ended up in doing the internship with big cats. So I just ended up in all these little different aspects. And then I ended up in medicine. Ironically, all those other channels I went to trying to see what else was out there besides veterinary medicine, and I ended up in veterinary medicine at the end. And I'm still open to anything else in the future, whatever pops up. Right now, I think my job is pretty awesome. So I'm not in a hurry to go anywhere else, but staying open in my mind is always important, because then you don't get bored. Just get out there. A lot of times you have to do internships or volunteer work, get your hand in so many different, you can go into, you can do research, you can there's a million different classes now in zoology, getting jobs in different sections, education, there's just constantly putting feelers out, networking, going to conferences. You can even help with research projects and help with publications, get your name out there. So yeah, there's so many good universities now that have good zoology programs. If you want to be a zookeeper, what people don't realize too is there's a lot of psychology in being zookeepers too, because they do a lot of training. So sometimes people look at psychology degrees too. Like if you want to go into training, that's also a nice background to have that people kind of forget about. So yeah, just kind of getting as much hands-on experience as you can. And this field is competitive, so that's why getting as much variety as you can under your belt is always going to help you. My company is the North Carolina Zoo, technically. So we take care of all the animals that are in the zoo. And so my job as a veterinary technician is to basically be the equivalent of a nurse for all those animals. So a question I get asked a lot is, do you only work with a specific species or a specific department or different section at the zoo? And the answer is no, I work with everybody. I work with everyone from turtles to elephants and everything in between as a veterinary nurse or a technician, depending on what you want to call us, but it's all the same thing. A huge soft skill that I learned in my previous experiences before coming here, I think a huge one is communication skills. Being able to work in a team environment, being able to think independently, work independently, take initiative on things, having a strong work ethic. All those things can transfer to really any job that you want to apply for. You just have to show motivation, and being willing to be accountable for things, like showing that you're, showing up to a job and expecting to be perfect at it every day. That's unrealistic, but showing up to a job, doing the best you possibly can, and then wanting to learn on how you can be better, that's what's going to impress people. And that's what I learned from previous experiences. It's more about work ethic, accountability, being a team player, but also being able to take initiative on things, being able to basically show up and do the work as best you can, and then always trying to be better. I haven't always wanted to do exactly what I'm doing right now. I've known most of my life that I wanted to work with animals. That I knew that from a very, very, very young age. I just didn't know in what capacity. I came from a very medical family. Like most of my family members, a lot of them are in human medicine and whatever, in so many aspects. So I guess originally I thought my only option was to be a veterinarian. And I kind of explored that, but then when I went to college, I helped with a therapeutic riding program where I worked with horses and trained horses. I volunteered at a children's museum / wildlife sanctuary. My future career goals right now are mostly just to continue learning in my job. What I really love about zoo medicine is that I get to work with literally every single species on the planet, potentially. We're always getting new cool species in. We're opening up a whole other section at the zoo, like an Asia section, where we're getting a whole bunch of other animals that we haven't had here in a really long time, if ever. And even the animals that have been here for decades, like species that we're known for, we're in medicine, like we're always learning new things about that species, like whether it's how to best put them under anesthesia, like what drugs work best with them, pain medication, like how to deal with a wound or whatever. All those things, like in medicine, whether you're talking about veterinary medicine or human medicine, it's all the same in terms of it's constantly changing and constantly evolving and constantly getting better. So not only do I have all this experience where I get to work with so many different animals and species, the medicine for that particular animal is constantly changing. So like I feel like I'm constantly learning. I've been here for almost 6 years and I still feel like I learn something new every day.